What's up everybody, it's Snotrag and I have a very special video for everybody today. Resident Evil 4 is one of the most iconic survival horror games of all time, and of course is my favorite game of all time. Back when I was a young lad, my dad blessed me with a copy of the original Resident Evil 4 on the Nintendo GameCube, and from then on, I was hooked. The Resident Evil 4 remake is arguably the best remake ever devised, and if there's one thing that I love more than Mountain Dew, women, and amazing remakes of iconic video games of all time, it's firearms. That passion was ignited by my father as well and carried over into real life from my childhood all the way toward my adulthood right now, and also video games. After all, the backbone of survival horror games are the tools they give you to ensure that you live through that journey of the story. Today, I'm going to be doing a deep analysis of all the weapons in Resident Evil 4 Remake, from Leon's campaign to Ada Wong's Separate Ways campaign and the Mercenaries mode respectively. I'll be going in depth with the history of the weapons in-game and also the real life counterparts. Buckle up folks and enjoy the video. In September of 1998, rookie police officer Leon Scott Kennedy goes through a life-altering encounter on his first and last day of the Raccoon City Police Department. The pharmaceutical company Umbrella was secretly making weaponized viruses and selling them on the black market. The T-virus was Umbrella's latest product and was accidentally unleashed among the populace, infecting 90% of the entire city. The virus returned normal people into terrifying zombies, infecting anyone who became bitten. Leon survived the renowned Raccoon City incident and was later recruited into a top-secret government program controlled by the President of the United States. Leon went under rigorous training from firearms, hand-to-hand, and advanced knife training instructed by Major Jack Krauser. 6 years later, after the Raccoon City incident and his training, Leon was selected for a mission to rescue President Graham's daughter, Ashley, from a remote European village somewhere outside of Spain. The inhabitants of the village became infected with an ancient parasite known as Las Plagas, and became hostile creatures trying to kill Leon. As such, Leon must use his skills in order to survive and bring home Ashley Graham, completing his mission. The villagers, or better known as Ganado, are not the typical like zombie, but are in fact extremely durable to any form of damage, can coordinate attacks, signifying intelligence, and have the ability to use an extensive amount of weapons.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
With a new, stronger, faster, and more intelligent enemy chasing after both Leon and Ashley, he'll have to put all of his training to the test, and of course, break out the big guns. First on our list of handguns is Leon's custom-made pistol, the SG-09R, or better known as the Silver Ghost. The gun's description reads as follows: a custom handgun made for Leon. Keeping the design of the MUP, its parts were carefully chosen and machined to improve performance. When Leon was tasked with finding Ashley Graham, he sensed a powerful disturbance in the force that the mission he was about to undertake would not be a typical one. Thus, he tracked down the legendary gunsmith Joseph Kendo to commission a build. Joseph is the brother of the late Robert Kendo, who perished in the Raccoon City incident. The Kendo name was made famous due to Robert being commissioned by the Raccoon City Police Department's Special Tactics and Rescue Services, or STARS unit, to build the standard issue service pistol that became the iconic Samurai Edge. Originally, Joseph wanted to call the weapon the Grey Phantom, due to Leon seeing phantoms of the Raccoon City incident. Leon, however, opted with Silver Ghost due to him being someone who vanished from the world of the Raccoon City incident and wanders in the dark gray fog. Kind of poetic if you ask me. The Silver Ghost is a hammer-fired pistol with a stainless steel slide, polymer frame, and has a Picatinny rail with options to mount a laser sight or flashlight, as seen in the CGI movie Resident Evil Degeneration. The Silver Ghost is derived from H&K or Heckler & Koch USP series pistols. The USP was designed by a man named Helmut Wedel, employed by the German company and adopted for service by the country's military respectively. The USP, or Universal Self-Stylades Pistol, translated to Universal Self-Loading Pistol, was a redesigned version of the iconic Mark 23. The Mark 23 was a handgun designed by HK upon request by the United States Special Operations Command, or SOCOM, for the Offensive Handgun Weapons Program. The Mark 23 is hammer-fired, chambered in 45 ACP, has a polymer frame, HK-style accessory rail, a 12-round magazine capacity, features a manual safety/silent decocker, European-style magazine release located at the trigger guard, and a threaded barrel to accommodate a silencer or suppressor for any of you FUDs watching the video. The Mark 23 features an overall length of 9.65 inches, a 5.87 inch barrel, and weighs roughly 3 pounds loaded. That's a big boy. However, the USP became the most beloved and evolved version of the Mark 23. For starters, the USP can come chambered in 3 other calibers alongside the 45 ACP, those cartridges being 9mm, 357 SIG, and 40 Smith & Wesson. Due to the Silver Ghost being chambered in 9mm, we will be looking at the specs of the 9mm USP variant. The 9mm version borrows the same features as its Mark 23 predecessor, but with a better overhaul in a smaller package, with an overall length of 7.68 inches, a barrel length of 4.25 inches, a magazine capacity of 15 rounds, and weighing in roughly around 1.69 to 2 pounds loaded, making it a superior and effective combat handgun. Though the Silver Ghost has been heavily modified, instead of the standard HK rail system, the Silver Ghost has a 913 Picatinny rail, custom finger grooves on the grip, and the slide has been shortened to accommodate a custom compensator to help negate vertical recoil. The Silver Ghost also has 3 engravings on the left and right side of the slide. On the left side toward the ejection port reads 9mm by 19, indicating this pistol is chambered in 9mm. On the right side of the ejection port you will see 9mm by 19 on the barrel, and toward the muzzle you will see the Kendo name engraved, indicating a custom gun from the legendary gunsmith. The Silver Ghost stats at level 1, however, make this firearm the equivalent of a California compliant firearm. Having a firepower of level 1, an ammo capacity of 10 rounds, a reload speed of 1, a rate of fire of 1, but makes up for it with its precision at 4. Adding the laser sight increases the accuracy of the weapon immensely. Fully upgrading the pistol to level 5 stats via the merchant increases the firepower to 2, maxing the ammo capacity to 18 plus 1 in the chamber, a reload speed of 1.40, fire rate of 1.52, and adding the exclusive perk for 80,000 pesetas or using an upgrade ticket from the merchant will increase the critical hit rate by 5 times. Aesthetically, the Silver Ghost is one of my favorite handgun designs ever, and I would love to build one in real life given the opportunity. However, the stats of the weapon and the amount of slots it takes up in the inventory space are a lot of negatives for a flashy gun, thus making this firearm be neglected by residing in the storage unit for the duration of most players' playthrough of the campaign. The verdict of the Silver Ghost is as follows. For practicality, the Silver Ghost receives an F due to the stats being so low for a custom-made firearm. For aesthetics, or the overall appearance of the firearm, it receives an A. The look of the Silver Ghost is nothing short of iconic, plus having the option to mount a laser to significantly increase the effectiveness and looks of the pistol is also a positive. The next pistol on the list is the Punisher. This weapon becomes available from the merchant at Chapter 2 for a trade of 10 spinel jewels. The description reads as follows. A handgun with excellent penetration power. Its short barrel and low recoil make it easy to handle, and an optimal choice of sidearm. The Punisher in the remake comes in the black and flat dark earth color pattern, unlike in the original RE4 where it comes in all black. The Punisher is a polymer frame, hammer-fired handgun, with the hammer being concealed inside the slide. Features an ambidextrous American-style magazine release on the left and right-hand side, a Picatinny rail for mounting the laser sight attachment, and an ambidextrous safety located above the trigger guard towards the slide. The Punisher pistol is derived from the FN57, made by Fabrique Nationale de Herstal, or FN, a Belgian company who in its origin had a partnership with the legendary John Moses Browning. The 5.7 went into production around the late 90s, due to NATO's attempt to replace the 9mm cartridge, the muzzle velocity of the round not being substantial enough to penetrate tough body armor. The 5.7 was designed to be chambered in the 5.7 by 28mm caliber. This round in particular has a muzzle velocity of 2,500 feet per second, and has the ability to penetrate certain amounts of body armor. The 5.7, like its in-game counterpart, is a polymer frame hammer-fired handgun, again with the hammer being concealed inside of the slide. Has ambidextrous American-style magazine releases and ambidextrous safety located above the trigger guard towards the slide, making it easy for the shooter to engage the safety via the trigger finger. It also features a Picatinny rail for mounting lights and laser sights, has a barrel length of 8.2 inches, weighs in at 1.6 to 2 pounds loaded, and comes with a standard magazine of 20 rounds. Me personally being in love with the 5.7 and having range time with it, the thing that stood out the most with the pistol was the weight of the gun and the recoil. The 5.7 recoil is so light due to the round it fires, recoil almost doesn't even exist with this handgun, making it a superb weapon for accuracy and for rapid fire capability. My complaints of the 5.7 are the MSRP of the weapon. The round it fires is more expensive than other particular handgun calibers, and a magazine disconnect feature, meaning even if the weapon still has a round loaded in the chamber, the gun will not fire without the presence of a fully inserted magazine. The Punisher, with level 1 stats, have the weapon with a firepower level of .90, a magazine capacity of 12 plus 1 in the chamber, a reload speed of 1.10, fire rate of 1.5, and accuracy of 4.50. Aside from the firepower, the Punisher already has an edge on the Silver Ghost at level 1, and can even penetrate through granados with shields and body armor. Throwing the laser sight on the Punisher increases its effectiveness via accuracy by a large margin. Fully upgrading the Punisher to level 5 stats will result in the weapon having a firepower level of 1.90, a max magazine capacity of 24 plus 1 in the chamber, a reload speed of 1.50, fire rate of 1.91, and having an exclusive perk of being able to penetrate 5 granados with a single shot is available from the merchant for 70,000 pesetas or using an upgrade ticket. With the Punisher fully upgraded, minus the firepower, it completely outclasses the Silver Ghost, making it a prime sidearm to aid Leon on his journey to bring Ashley home. The verdict of the Punisher is as follows. For practicality, the Punisher receives an A-. The firepower of the Punisher is not all that great compared to the other handguns in the remake, but makes up for it with its armor-piercing capability, recoil control, and being able to accommodate the laser sight attachment. For the aesthetics or overall look of the firearm, it gets an A+. Capcom nailed the detail of the real-life 5.7, making the remake version having the black and FDE color scheme made it stand out compared to the original RE4, and me being a little biased because I'm an FN fanboy. The Punisher pistol is a wise choice for the player ready to embrace the nightmare alongside Leon S. Kennedy. Up next on the list is the fan favorite and iconic Red 9. The Red 9 becomes available to the player at the start of Chapter 4, located in the middle of the lake on board a shipwrecked boat. If players miss this location, it can be bought from the merchant later on in Chapter 5 for 14,000 pesetas. The description reads as follows. A powerful handgun. A large Red 9 is burned into the grip to prevent the user from loading the wrong ammo. The Red 9 is a hammer-fired, semi-automatic handgun made out of steel and features wooden grips. The Red 9 is Luis Serra Navarro's go-to sidearm throughout the campaign and is equipped by him in the Mercenaries mode. To further push the effectiveness of the weapon, the Red 9 can be outfitted with a wooden stock, easing the recoil and making the pistol more accurate and a pretty effective carbine. The stock is available for trade from the merchant at the beginning of Chapter 6 for a total of 9 spinel jewels. In real life, the Red 9 is modeled after the Mauser Construction 96 or C96, designed by the Federley brothers Fidel, Frederick, Joseph, and Paul Mauser. The C96 went into production in 1896, made by the German company Mauser, named after Paul respectfully. The weapon saw service in World War I and was still seen in service until around 1961. The C96 was originally chambered in the 763 by 25mm Mauser, but was later converted to 765 by 21, 9 by 19mm Parabellum, 45 ACP for the Chinese models, and 9mm Mauser. The C96 has 3 nicknames. types: the broom handle, due to the grips being reminiscent of a broomstick, the box cannon, and the commonly used name, the Red 9, due to the pistol having a red 9 being burned or carved into the handle of the gun. The reason for this was because 9mm was a relatively new cartridge at the time, and the engraving made it easily identifiable for soldiers on the battlefield to not mistakenly load the wrong ammunition into the firearm. Just like in the game, the C96 can be outfitted with a wooden stock that also functioned as a holster for the weapon. We will be looking at the specs of the 9mm variant of the C96 due to the game version having the iconic engraved number. The C96 weighs in at around 2 pounds loaded, an overall length of 12.3 inches, has a barrel length of 5 inches, a 10-round internal magazine that is reloaded via stripper clips, and has a safety located toward the rear of the gun beneath the hammer. All of the functions of the real-life version are accurately replicated in the game. The stats of the Red 9 at level 1 have the gun start with a firepower level of 1.50, an ammo capacity of 8 rounds, a reload speed of 0.85, fire rate of 0.90, and precision level of 3. With the stock attached, this weapon, aside from the fire rate, reload speed, and rate of fire, easily outclassed the Silver Ghost and is a strong competitor against the Punisher. Fully upgrading the Red 9 to level 5 will result in the firepower being maxed to 2.70, an ammo capacity of 16 rounds, reload speed of 1.25, rate of fire of 1.26, and an exclusive perk increasing the firepower of the weapon by 1.5 times by paying the merchant 100,000 pesetas or using an upgrade ticket. The verdict of the Red 9 is as follows. For practicality, the Red 9 receives a B. My reason for this is because in the remake version, the ability to add the laser sight is no longer an option, unlike in the original RE4, thus affecting the accuracy. Not that big of a deal considering you can add the stock onto the weapon for better accuracy and stabilization, but at the cost of sacrificing additional inventory space and only slightly increasing those stats. The weapon also has the slowest reload speed of all the handguns in-game, due to both real-life and in-game versions having to be reloaded with a stripper clip. The recoil and the rate of fire of the Red 9 make it difficult to pull off follow-up shots or be effective in close quarters situations. However, the Red 9 is the most powerful handgun in the game, outperforming the Silver Ghost and the Punisher in that field, but having to sacrifice inventory space for firepower for a handgun might be a good strategy for some players, but for me, it would be a hard no. For the aesthetics or overall look of the handgun, the Red 9 receives an S. Capcom once again captures the quality of life details of the iconic pistol, and me being a sucker for historical relics, something about the classic look of the Red 9, both with and without the stock, just scream amazing. In a world where polymer is the norm these days, there's nothing wrong with good old-fashioned steel and wood. The same big things come in small packages might in actuality be referring to this specimen of a handgun. In Leon's campaign, the Blacktail is available to the player from the merchant at the beginning of Chapter 7 for 24,000 pesetas, but is Ada Wong's go-to sidearm in the Separate Ways DLC and Mercenaries mode with her default character costume. The description reads as follows: a striker-fired handgun. This weapon has high performance across the board with no one outstanding characteristic. So I think Capcom made a boo-boo with the grammar here, but I think we all know what they're talking about. That outstanding characteristic they are referring to is that the weapon, due to its compact design, will only take up 4 inventory spaces in the player's attaché case, meaning it is the smallest practical handgun in the game for inventory management. The features of the Blacktail include a 3-dot sight system, is striker fired instead of the conventional hammer fired handguns that came before, has a polymer frame, has aggressive slide serrations toward the rear and the front of the muzzle, a hinged trigger safety, a beaver tail grip safety, ambidextrous American style magazine releases, and a Picatinny rail. Sad to say, the Blacktail, even though it is equipped with an accessory rail, will not accept the laser sight, unlike in the original RE4, which is a disappointment, but I believe Capcom wanted to have some sort of balance when it came down to which handguns will accept the laser and which ones won't. The Blacktail is modeled after the Springfield Armory's XD series of pistols. They have full-size, subcompact, compact, and tactical versions available. The XD can come chambered in 9mm, 40 Smith & Wesson, and 45 ACP. Due to the size of the in-game weapon and the firepower, I believe it is the 40 Smith & Wesson variant that the Blacktail is derived from, and as such, we will be looking at the specs of the real-life version for comparison. The Springfield XD40 is polymer framed, striker fired, has a 3-dot sight system, aggressive slide serrations toward the rear and muzzle of the slide for easier reloads and weapon manipulations, a hinged trigger safety, meaning the gun cannot fire without proper trigger finger placement to to depress the hinge, allowing the gun to fire. A beaver tail safety, meaning the user has to have a proper grip on the firearm itself to allow the weapon to be discharged. The XD40 comes with a 4-inch barrel and a standard 12-round magazine capacity, but extended magazines are available, and it roughly weighs in at around 2 pounds loaded. The Blacktail at level 1 have the gun set at a firepower level of 1.40, a magazine capacity of 9 rounds plus 1 in the chamber, reload speed of 1.19, and a precision of 4.20. Right out of the gate, the Blacktail outshines the Silver Ghost and the Punisher and gives the Red 9 a run for its money. Upgrading the Blacktail to level 5 for both Leon and Ada will have the pistol have a firepower of 2.40, 13 plus 1 magazine capacity, a reload speed of 1.60, rate of fire of 2.20, and exclusive perk increasing the firepower by 1.5 times by either paying the merchant 100,000 pesetas or using an upgrade ticket, making this a superb choice for anyone wanting a decent handgun for both firepower, inventory management, and more aggressive tactics due to the reload speed and fire rate of the gun. The verdict of the Blacktail is as follows. For practicality, the Blacktail receives an A++. The Blacktail is extremely effective in the game but does have its drawbacks. For starters, even though it has adequate firepower, it lacks the armor-piercing capability of the Punisher, has a smaller magazine capacity due to it being a compact pistol, and as such has tremendous amount of recoil, making it difficult to pull off follow-up shots in tight situations. Also, the Picatinny rail being virtually useless due to the remake not allowing a player to outfit the pistol with a laser sight. For aesthetics or the overall look of the handgun, the Blacktail receives an A-. Capcom's attention to detail when it comes to weaponry is nothing short of breathtaking.
You're breathtaking. You're all breathtaking.
But I, for one, have not been a fan of the XD series by Springfield. However, I am an avid fan of the rifles they have produced. Regardless, the Blacktail takes home the trophy for one of the best handguns in terms of practicality and good-looking handguns in the remake so far. The Matilda, which was Leon's personal sidearm during his short term of service with the RPD, makes its return just like it did in the original RE4. The Matilda becomes available to the player at the start of Chapter 8 via a trade from the merchant for a total of 10 spinel jewels. The description reads as follows: a polymer frame handgun. Attaching a stock to it enables the weapon to shoot 3-round bursts. Unlike the original RE4, the remake version comes with the Matilda having the stock sold separately, giving players a chance to familiarize themselves again with the weapon. The Matilda starts off with a firepower level of 1.30, magazine capacity of 18 plus 1 in the chamber, reload speed of 1, rate of fire of 0.96, and a precision of 3.50. Other than having the same reload speed, the Matilda outclasses the Silver Ghost. The Matilda is good competition against the Red 9 and the Blacktail respectively. Without the stock attached, the Matilda is fairly accurate, but throwing the stock on not only gives the 3-round burst fire, but improves the stability and increases the accuracy of the weapon, making the Red 9 have some serious competition. The stock becomes available for Leon at Chapter 11 via a trade of 12 spinel jewels. The details of the Matilda are interesting to say the least. You will find 2 engravings on the weapon. One located at the bottom of the grip towards the magazine well simply reads Matilda. The other is located on the slide and says Matilda, 9mm by 19, indicating the pistol is chambered in 9mm parabellum. It is striker fired, has a manual safety on the trigger guard, and has a European-style heel magazine release towards the bottom of the grip. The Matilda is modeled after the Heckler & Koch VP70, standing for Volkspistol, or People's Pistol, and was made in 1970. The VP70 is an important relic of history because it was the first polymer-framed, double-stack high-capacity handgun in the world, beating the Austrian Glock 17 by 12 years. However, it is not a perfect firearm. The VP70 is credited with being the first polymer handgun, sure, but it is also given the worst trigger pull of all time, having a famous 10-pound trigger pull. This contributes to the handgun being double action. HK stated that at the time, that trigger pull weight functioned as a second form of safety, but sheesh, 10 pounds. Moving on, the VP70 is chambered in 9mm, has an 18-round magazine capacity, weighs in at roughly 2 pounds loaded, has a 4.6-inch barrel, and an overall length of 8 inches. Like in the game, the VP-70 military variant can have a polymer stock attached to the weapon. The stock also functions as a holster and has a fire selector giving the weapon its 3-round burst capability. At the time, HK had the idea of making the first polymer handgun that could be morphed into a carbine, but the nasty trigger pull of the weapon prevented it from reaching its full potential, and production of the weapon was halted around 1989. But if it hadn't been for HK, the world would probably never see the likes of Glock and other famous polymer handguns today. Upgrading the Matilda to level 5 stats will have the pistol with a firepower level of 2, an ammo capacity of 30 plus 1 in the chamber, a reload speed of 1.40, rate of fire of 1.63, and an exclusive perk increasing the magazine capacity by 2 times, totaling in 60 rounds. The perk will cost the player 70,000 pesetas or an upgrade ticket with the merchant. The verdict of the Matilda is as follows. For practicality, the Matilda receives a B+. Even though the weapon cannot be equipped with a laser sight like in the original RE4, the gun has a good practical purpose, being that it takes the crown of having the highest magazine capacity of all the handguns in the game. By the time the player reloads, majority of the granados around you will probably be neutralized. It has adequate firepower, a stock to help stabilize shots, and has a 3-round burst feature. The drawback of the weapon is the sacrifice of inventory space for both the stock and the Matilda itself. It has a slow reload speed, but if you expel all 60 rounds without hitting anything, it's not the gun at fault, but most likely the player. For aesthetics or the overall appearance of the Matilda, it receives an S. Debuting as Leon's sidearm during the events at Raccoon City, making its return in the original RE4, and seeing it once again in all of its glory in the remake bring back the nostalgia, not to mention the gun in RE4 having direct ties with popular culture. If anyone is aware of the movie Leon or Leon the Professional, it is the story of a hitman who rescues a young girl named Matilda from a gruesome fate. As such, Leon takes Matilda under his wing to teach her the art of becoming a hitman. RE4 original and the remake keep this movie reference alive, with the handgun being called the Matilda, the main character, Leon, and the hardest difficulty in the game being professional. Unlike in the original RE4, Capcom once again goes to town with the details of the gun in the remake, and once again, me being a sucker for historical relics, find nothing wrong with being hit with the movie reference, nostalgia, and 3-round burst of awesome. The Sentinel 9 is the last handgun for players to use in Leon's main story of the game, and can be available to players via downloadable content. Once purchased, the player will have access to the weapon immediately upon reaching the nearest typewriter to gain entry to the storage unit. The description reads as follows: a fully customized handgun for tackling bioterrorism. Its accuracy and versatility make it a reliable choice. The history of the firearm is pretty interesting also because it involves Leon personally. Under the name of Project Sentinel, the Federal Bioterrorism Commission, or FBC, began the project for agents and other anti-bioterrorism operatives in need of a new handgun. The handgun had to meet 3 criteria established by the FBC: versatility, stability, and certainty. Looking at the versatility side, the handgun had to be chambered in 9mm due to the cartridge being readily available from local gun stores, or in the event, the round can most definitely be found on the bodies of enemy combatants. For stability, the handgun had to be resilient towards rusting, weathering, and the acids sprayed by BOWs or biological weapons. Lastly, certainty. The weapon had to be deadly precise and ideal for close quarters combat without additional recoil. However, the FSB was shut down in 2005 and the Sentinel project was left in its prototype phase. This was until Leon S. Kennedy himself saw the potential of a robust, precise, and versatile weapon. He then took over as the supervisor of the project, ensuring the weapon would be created. Leon volunteered himself to test the early prototypes, which began at around 2013. The handgun never made it to him in time because of the Tall Oaks and China bioterrorism attacks in Resident Evil 6. Due to Leon not receiving the handgun during these incidents, the combat data needed to push the production of the weapon forward and have the Sentinel 9 be the standard issue sidearm for the DSO, Division of Security Operations, had to be halted. Eventually, the Sentinel 9 made its debut appearance in the CGI movie Resident Evil Vendetta, made its return in Resident Evil Death Island, and finally made its way into the hands of players in the Resident Evil 4 remake. The weapon, again, was supposed to be Leon's primary handgun in RE6, but was cut for taking a long time to develop and Capcom rushing the release of the game. There is, however, a Tokyo Marui airsoft pistol modeled after it to advertise Resident Evil 6, confirming this. The Sentinel 9 is a hammer-fired, polymer frame handgun chambered in 9mm, features a skeletonized trigger, has an elongated and squared magazine release, a decocker, aggressive slide serrations for easier reloads and weapon manipulations, an elongated beaver tail grip, 3-dot sights, a Picatinny rail for the laser sight attachment, a custom compensator for recoil control, and an extended magazine. The Sentinel 9 is a beautiful work of art, featuring its stainless steel slide, stainless steel weapon controls, and engravings on the pistol. The first engraving reads, Sentinel 9. 9x19, indicating the gun is chambered in 9mm. Just below that reads, Peace Through Fighting, Division of Operational Security. And at the bottom of the grip towards the magazine well, the grip has the DSO emblem inserted. The Sentinel 9 is modeled after the Sig Sauer P226 handgun. The weapon was produced in 1985 and continues to be made today. The P226 became a widely popular handgun upon its release towards the military, police, and civilian market respectively, due to the weapon having outstanding reliability, being chambered in multiple calibers such as 9mm, 40 Smith & Wesson, 357 SIG, 22 LR or long rifle, 9x21mm and 7.65mm, having different variants from full size to compact, and its ability to readily accept aftermarket parts. Due to the Sentinel 9 being chambered in 9mm, we will be looking at the 9mm version of the P226. The P226 is a hammer-fired polymer frame handgun. Features a 4.4-inch barrel, an overall length of 7.7 inches, a magazine capacity of 15 rounds with the option of a 20-round extended magazine, a decocker, American-style magazine release, and weighs in at 2 pounds loaded. Me having range time with the SIG, it is absolutely outstanding, from sight picture, handling, maintenance, and more. My only complaints of the SIG is the MSRP. These pistols can range from $800 to $3,000, depending if it is used or brand new. But I, for one, don't believe anyone should suffer a drastic kick in the balls for purchasing a handgun. Sig Sauer does make incredible products, don't get me wrong. But does that mean the pistol could do my taxes also? Getting back on topic. The Sentinel 9 at level 1 stats have the pistol come in with a firepower level of 1.10, ammo capacity of 19 rounds plus 1 in the chamber, reload speed of 0.90, rate of fire of 1.19, and a precision of 4. The Sentinel 9 already has the advantage of all the other handguns, being readily available for the player immediately and can be a strong substitute for the Silver Ghost. The Sentinel 9 also has the ability, unlike the Red 9, Blacktail, and Matilda, to accept the laser sight attachment. Upgrading the Sentinel 9 to level 5 stats will top off the weapon to have a firepower level of 1.90, 30 plus 1 magazine capacity, 1.30 reload speed, fire rate of 2, and has an exclusive perk increasing the critical hit rate by 5 times. This perk is unlockable from the merchant for 80,000 pesetas or using an upgrade ticket. The verdict on the Sentinel 9 is as follows. For practicality, the Sentinel 9 gets an A+. This gun, out of all the pistols that accept the laser sight, is crowned king. It is a very practical choice because of its precision, ammo capacity, fire rate, and also has the edge once again for being able to accommodate the laser sight, increasing the effectiveness even more. The drawbacks of the weapon is the firepower, can't penetrate armor like the Punisher, reload speed, inventory space, and the gun itself being DLC. For aesthetics or the overall look of the firearm, the Sentinel 9 receives an S+. This is easily the most beautiful gun in the game, and Capcom once again going ham on the details make me want to build this pistol in real life given the opportunity. The Sentinel 9 is what happens to the Silver Ghost after having a harsh breakup with Leon, goes to the gym, and has a steady diet of pre-workout and aggression. This is a handgun that all fans of Resident Evil should consider adding to their arsenal. For the practicality standpoint, and having this beast of craftsmanship will make any avid collector content with their purchase. Like the saying goes, buy once, cry once. We made it to the final handgun on the list. Albert Wesker makes his return in the Mercenaries mode, packing a new handgun, the XM96E1. I'll shorten that down to M96 throughout the rest of the video for my sake. The M96 is currently only available with Albert Wesker's character in The Mercenaries, but Capcom might port the pistol over to Leon and Ada's campaign in the future, but that is pure speculation as of the recording of this video. The description of the weapon reads as follows: a rugged handgun with decent firepower. It has low ammo capacity, but hits hard. The M96 is a steel frame, double-action hammer-fired handgun. Features a 3-dot sight system, stainless steel finish, aggressive slide serrations for faster reloads and weapon manipulation, ambidextrous safety and decocker, a Picatinny rail for mounting lights and laser sights, American-style magazine release, and rubberized grips for maintaining proper control of the weapon. Seeing as though the weapon cannot be customized further, being Mercenaries mode use only, at level 1, the M96 has a firepower level of 2.50, ammo capacity of 10 rounds plus 1 in the chamber, reload speed of 1.40, rate of fire of 1.50, and precision of 4. If this weapon becomes available in Leon and Ada's campaign, at level 1 stats, the M96 is the second most powerful handgun in the game. It is speculated that the handgun was designed by Wesker himself. Wesker has history of weapon design, and even participated in the development of the Star Samurai Edge pistols. There is even further speculation that this is one of the earliest prototypes submitted by Robert Kendo, and Wesker decided to keep it and later on modify. The M96 is modeled after the Italian classic Beretta 92 FS. The Beretta 92 was redesignated to M9 after its adoption by the US military in 1976 and can be seen still used in service. Originally, the M9s that were issued to soldiers on deployment reported major malfunctions with the slide, being chipped, cracked, or in severe cases, broken due to weather conditions on the battlefield. Beretta went back to the drawing board with the design and pushed out the Beretta 92 FS, literally translated to fixed slide. The 92 FS specs are the ones we will be looking at as reference for the M96. The M9 is a 9mm steel frame, double action hammer fired handgun. Features a 3-dot sight system, slide serrations for easier reloads and weapon manipulations, American-style magazine release, safety and decocker lever, a barrel length of 4.9 inches, and an overall length of 8.5 inches, and even has an amazing amount of ammo capacity, with that being 10, 15, 17, 20, and 30 round magazine capacity options, and roughly weighs 2 to 3 pounds loaded depending on magazine capacity choice. The M9 is commonly chambered in 9mm. With me having range time with the M9, it is one of my favorite handguns of all time. Due to the weight of the pistol being a steel frame, it can help control recoil, and is a great 9mm pistol to have first-time shooters familiarize themselves with. Unfortunately, I cannot do a verdict of this pistol, seeing as though we are uncertain if we will ever be able to further push the potential of the weapon, which will bring this video to its long-awaited curtain call. Guys, this is the end of the video, and thank you all so much for making it this far. If you guys enjoyed the video, please like, comment, and subscribe so that way you guys can get this video out there and enjoy more content that I will create in the future. And at this point in time, I also want to address that I did make mistakes with some descriptions of the firearms, especially with this section of the handguns. A lot of them stating that they are steel framed. That is not necessarily true, because today, or even back then, a lot of handguns today are made out of a aluminum type alloy. They're not necessarily steel, but they do have steel elements into it, but I'm not going to get that deep into it. I would like to apologize on that mistake. Once again, I found out that mistake by not doing my homework, and 2, me just rushing to get this video out there. So it took me a painstakingly amount of time to edit this video. That's why I decided to go ahead and address those issues at the end of this video. Thank you all so much, and I also wanted to give a shout out to Grand Thumb. You're the best, Flannel Daddy. Keep going, man. I love you. And also to Mac from Military Arms Channel. You the man, dude. Don't ever change. I love you, Mac. And a special shout out to all of the law enforcement and military personnel that watch my videos that are both active and retired. Thank y'all. I appreciate y'all for what you do, and I love you. And once again, guys, thank y'all so much for watching the video. Like, comment, and subscribe. And if it gets up there with the numbers, and if you guys really demand for a part 2, I will make a part 2 to finish up the rest of the weapons in the Resident Evil 4 Remake, because there is a lot of them. Once again, guys, thank you all so much, and as always, stay frosty.